Welcome to No Apologies on Beck, where we are unafraid to speak the truth. I'm your host, Rick Becker, our co-host, Lori Hintz.
Hi there.
We have a very interesting show tonight. On top of tonight being the Fast Cash.
Fast Cash.
Fast
It's
Cash.
also Giving Hearts Day 2 until midnight 2.
That was a fast Cash graphic.
Right.
Throw it up one more time so that they know while they're watching. So listen, do one of these things. Call, text, go on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Those numbers, those addresses, do something. All you got to do is just leave a message, and you're entered to win $1,000. It's only today.
Fast Cash.
Fast Cash.
$1,000.
It's only you and 7 other people, so odds are very good.
Well, might be more than 7.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're moving on.
We are.
on. Segment
All right.
1. We're talking about the minimum wage a little bit. I wanted to bring that up because there is a bill coming through North Dakota legislature to raise the minimum wage.
I'm very surprised by that, to be
Are you?
honest with you, because I would not think that with a supermajority in both houses that would even be thought of, because we've seen what's happened in other states. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of mystified by that,
Well,
to be honest.
except, no, but in North Dakota, it's really a beautiful thing because any bill that's brought up by a legislator will be heard in committee and will be heard on the floor in the House or the Senate, respectively.
So that is cool.
And so a Democrat brought it forward. It's Representative Lori Beth Hager. And I did ask her to be on the show. She elected not to. I also, for this topic, asked the minority leader, Josh Boucher, if he'd like to be on for this. He said he's very happy to come on the show for some other topics, but wasn't too interested. So we're just going to do this on our own. I obviously am very much opposed to minimum wage because it doesn't do what it's intended to do.
Yeah.
So we're going to hit it ourselves without any help.
Okay.
And which is good because then we can go after it instead of being super nice to the person sitting in the chair.
Right.
So let's pull up a graphic here, House Bill 1341. Here's what it does. Now, first off, we just have part of it lifted here in yellow, but it starts right away this summer where the minimum wage would go to $9. Right now it's $7.25. That's the federal minimum wage. It would go to $9. The next summer on August 1st, it would go to $10. In 2023, $11. August 1st, 2024, $12. 2025, $13. 2026, $14. 2027, $15. The magical wage for those, at least that are now jumping on the bandwagon on the left, for a $15 minimum wage.
Question.
Yes.
Is this assuming that the economy is supposed to grow at that same rate?
Well, yeah, that's an interesting question too, because the discussion is the economy has been growing, there has been inflation, so a $7.25 minimum wage back whenever it was, I didn't do my homework, I think in the 90s or maybe before actually, is now proportionately much less than that.
Sure.
The problem though is that the minimum wage really doesn't mean a whole lot. A person, what they offer as labor is either valued at a certain amount or it's not.
Correct.
And we saw, despite having a minimum wage of $7.25 for these years, during the oil boom, it didn't matter that minimum wage was $7.25. When I had a restaurant, I couldn't hire anybody who had never worked a day in their life. They walk in, $12, $13 right off the bat.
Right.
And of course, up in the oil patch, it was a lot more because it's a product of the supply and demand curves.
Correct.
So now, before we go into it any further, we've got Thomas Sowell has got some interesting audio on this. We're going to use that as kind of laying the groundwork, and then we're going to talk more about minimum wage and the unintended consequences.
Minimum wage laws prevent transmission of knowledge of labor available at costs which would induce its employment. By misstating the cost of such labor, it causes some of the labor to be unemployed, even though perfectly willing to work for wages which others are perfectly willing to pay. The term minimum wage law defines the process by its hoped-for results, but the law itself does not guarantee that any wage will be paid, because employment remains a voluntary transaction. All that the law does is reduce the set of options available to both transactors. Once the law is defined by its characteristics as a process, rather than by its hoped-for results, it is hardly surprising that there are fewer transactions, that is, more unemployment, with reduced options. What is perhaps more surprising is the persistence and scope of the belief that people can be made better off by reducing their options. The fact that the worst-off workers tend to be the most adversely affected by minimum wage laws suggests that what is typically involved is not unconscionable exploitation, but the payment of wages commensurate with their desirability as employees. In short, no one is employable or unemployable absolutely, but only relative to a given pay scale. Increasingly, blacks have been priced out of the market. This is particularly apparent among the least experienced blacks, that is, black teenagers, who have astronomical unemployment rates.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. But you're listening to an economist, at least to the writing of an economist. So it sounds a little dry, but if you really sort of take that in, it's spot on.
Right.
The biggest component, and Thomas Sowell, we've talked about him before. Fantastic economist, black gentleman who has written so much on race. And one of the things he's written a lot about as well on is the minimum wage, partially because, of course, it hits home where his concerns regarding race are, because of, as we heard, it disproportionately affects minorities.
Right.
Now, the thing is, when we determine that we're going to set the value of someone's labor higher than what the actual value is, again, we're not talking about, hey, we want everyone to have more money. We're just talking about the actual market.
Right.
If we say, well, you may say that the labor is such and such, the value, but we're going to say that it's up here. Well, what happens then is unemployment because of a couple of things. One, you can look at McDonald's or other big chain fast food joints, and they say, well, heck, if we go up to $15 plus all the payroll taxes, plus benefits that we have to have, plus the workers' compensation, unemployment insurance, plus the training, plus the rehiring, plus lawsuits, plus injuries, it becomes too expensive. And so at 15, they're not stupid about these things. They're going to say at $15 plus all of these other things that cost this, we can actually bring machines in.
Right.
For less,
which is
and then
what's happening.
we don't have the hassle. So that's one way that it's very obvious that we can have unemployment.
Right.
The other way is where let's think more like small business. Okay, you've got a limited amount of income coming to the business. Whatever the cost of something goes up, if limes, I have a couple of bars. Once in a while, there's a shortage of limes. Limes go way up, and we've had a couple of those over the years. What we do then is drop some of our specialty cocktails that are heavy with limes. We take those off the menu because we'll lose money by trying to sell those drinks at the same price. Or when you're in a business where you can't just say, well, we're going to stop selling that product, you have no choice but to increase the price of the product.
Exactly.
And interestingly, I was at a national meeting for bar owners, and it's a very, very strong left type population.
Really? Is that
yes,
so?
yes, yes.
I did not
Well,
realize
especially employees of bars tend to. I mean, North Dakota is going to be somewhat different than average, but generally the service industry tends to be center left.
Oh.
And so does a lot of the bar owners. But even at this national meeting of bar owners, very big time bar owners who are known to be very sympathetic to left, said, hey, if we increase the minimum wage, we have to increase our prices, or we have to get rid of people.
Right, or, yep.
So the problem here is that you've got these different things at play. The other aspect of the unemployment, besides machinery and so forth, is, again, the small business, yada, yada. You say, well, the price of labor is going so high. Instead of prices of limes, we stop selling limes. Price of labor is so high, we stop with some of the labor. Now, you can't just stop labor. What you do is say, we're not going to do that extra hire.
Exactly.
So you might say, well, unemployment didn't go up because you didn't fire anybody, but the thing is, you didn't hire anybody when you would have otherwise.
So generally speaking, the absolute opposite happens from the intended.
Yeah.
The intended is to help people make more money, but the bottom line is fewer people will be hired.
Absolutely, and it's the people that are first to not be hired or to be let go are the ones that have the least experience,
Right.
that are the youngest,
Right.
and are just starting out. Those are the people that you're hurting. These are the low-income people. You're hurting the low-income people.
Exactly. All right, we're going to go further into this topic when we come back.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Heroes and Icons is now Cozy TV. Don't worry, you'll still get your favorite Beck News programming without changing the channel. Real people, real news, Beck News.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
There's nothing more important than family. And at Prairie Rose Family Dentists, we get it. That's why we have more locations, more dentists, specialists, extended hours, pediatric clinics, and even emergency appointments, so you can always be seen. Book your appointment today at prairierosedentist.com. Prairie Rose Family Dentists. We are family.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Pub 21, your one stop for fun, drinks, and food. Our spacious facility provides COVID-safe fun for you and all your friends. With nightly bingo and specials, you can be sure there's something to do for everyone. If you're staying in for the night, we've got you covered just across the way with Pub 21 Liquor. We have a wide variety of options, from wine to whiskey and everything in between. Stop in today at 1014 South 12th Street in Bismarck to see what all the buzz is about. You won't be disappointed.
And we're back. It's no apologies on Beck. It is fast cash night, so make sure you do whatever it is that you need to do to win $1,000. Simply leave a message at any of those options on the screen. I want someone watching to win $1,000.
I love that people can text. You can text it.
Yeah.
That would be the fastest and
You
easiest
can't be
way.
any easier than that, folks.
Right?
And just remember, it's not really $1,000 because the government's going to steal a fair amount of it. It's going to be like $675 or something.
But it's still going to be $675, which
Yeah, I know.
is always good for the budget. So
Right.
I think cash is always good. Works in every language, too. Fun fact.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, we're talking about minimum wage, and there is a bill in the House of Representatives in the state to increase the minimum wage to $15 over the course of the next 6 years or something of that nature. So we're talking about there you go. So the $15 would become, it's all stepwise, dollar per year. August 1st, 2027, $15 per hour. We've been talking about how it is that this actually affects people. One of the things that we hear from the left and why it's needed is because of all of these families that aren't making a living wage at minimum wage. But the thing is,
this is not for that group of people.
No, it's not. This is not, people are not, we're not expecting people to live off of minimum wage. This is for entry-level people. This is for people that don't have experience. It's a way to get in and get experience.
Precisely.
You look at an opportunity. When you have a high minimum wage, you take opportunity away from people who are less fortunate, because you can go in without
Entry-level
significant education,
right?
without money, go in and start at the bottom. What is the bottom? Oh, it's minimum wage.
Correct.
Meaning the current minimum wage. And you start at that bottom and you work your way up. You gain experience. When you gain experience, the value of your labor increases and you move up. The next thing you know, you're assistant manager, and then you've bought a franchise or whatever it might be, or you decided to start up your own thing because now you know business and you have expertise in an area. When there's a minimum wage, as we've said, there's less hiring. So that person, that unfortunately may be a minority, didn't get into that entry-level job at minimum wage, didn't get the experience, never became a manager, never owned his or her own business because of the dynamics, the undeniable
You're hamstrung. You're
demand, supply and demand curves. Yes.
Yeah, you're actually handicapping somebody for future excellence.
Right. Now, I wrote an op-ed piece back in, I don't know, 2013 or something of that nature. Heidi Heitkamp was promoting a minimum wage hike. It was up to, I forget, $10 or $11 at that time. And here's the thing. We conservatives tend to say minimum wage is a bad thing because it increases unemployment and it hurts those that are most in need. The people on the left say, that's not true, it doesn't hurt anybody, it doesn't cause unemployment. Here's a very interesting factoid. Senator Heitkamp at that time, and many others, will point to various studies, various organizations that show that the unemployment can be mitigated, can be brought down to very little by doing certain things. So there's this Economic Policy Institute.
Okay.
That's who she referred that to, that's who many others refer to. Very, very left organization.
Of course.
Their whole purpose is to increase minimum wage. They say that unemployment isn't as bad as what we say it's going to be if you do these things. So just by that, they admit that unemployment causes, minimum wage, high minimum wage causes unemployment. So they have, I think it's 5 channels of adjustment. So the way that you can hike the minimum wage without causing significant unemployment is by doing one of several things. So I'm going to go through those with you. One is increase productivity. What that means is they demand more out of the worker for the hours they're working than what they previously were demanding. So they can afford a minimum wage hike by trying to make you work harder. So that's a negative for the current worker and typically the more entry-level worker. They're going to demand more out of you. That's
so basically right off the bat you get punished.
That's right. That's an increased productivity channel.
Okay.
The next is an increased price channel. So you increase prices.
So now you're punishing all of the consumers.
That's right.
As well.
And because this is not just one industry, this is across all businesses. So the prices for everything will go up incrementally. So if you're a minimum wage earner, you're getting more money, but everything is also costing more money. Plus, if you're just above minimum wage, everything is still costing more money, but you didn't get a raise.
Right.
So that's not that great.
Does anybody ever look at numbers when they do this stuff? I mean, do they literally not even? These are nebulous ideas and concepts, but nobody obviously ever looks at any hard facts or numbers.
Yep.
Okay.
Here's another channel: decrease benefits. This is how an employer can handle a significantly increased minimum wage. You decrease benefits.
Well, who's going to want to work for somebody who is decreasing the benefits compared?
If it's across the board, then all the employers are decreasing benefits, so you don't have other options to go to try and get better benefits. Next is wage compression. This is an interesting one that not a lot of people think about. To be able to afford higher cost entry-level workers, what you do then is make it so that, let's say they would normally get a raise after a year and then again after a year. Those raises go away. The people at the top may come down. They may lose a little bit of wage. So there's wage compression because you brought the bottom up. As you're increasing in the organization, instead of having big steps, you've got little steps, and that's wage compression. Again, another thing that hurts the employees.
And the employees higher up are probably not very happy about being compressed, I can only imagine.
No, nobody's happy about being compressed. Okay, the next channel to avoid significant unemployment is decrease profits. Now, this is the one the Democrats go to, right? Because it's the big business owner fat cats who are making all the profit. Here's the problem. Most minimum wage earners now, the people that are making $7.25 or $8 or $9, and when they go up to $15, they're working for small businesses. Small businesses that have razor slim profit margins.
Exactly.
You increase the cost of labor, those profit margins go out the window. Those businesses close. The people that were working for the businesses are now unemployed.
Exactly.
The other thing about saying, oh, let's just take some of the profits, it affects retirees or people who are about to retire because 401k's values go down because the company's values go down because the profits went down. So there's no free meal here. The left believes, first off, they find their victim group, like they always do. They are the saviors for the victim group, such that the victim group will be forever dependent on the Democrats. And they say, this is what's going to help you. And in fact, it actually hurts them. It sounds good on the surface.
Every time.
You just need to look a little deeper and you see what a crappy idea it is, not only for the people that they intended to help, but for the whole of society.
Well, we shall see what happens with this bill.
It's going down, big time.
Okay, note to self. All right, when we come back, I'm very excited about this. We're going to do a Rick's Rant from videotape.
Yeah, from the Capitol.
From the floor. Join us.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Beck Communications is hiring. Beck Communications is seeking qualified candidates for plant technicians in our Wheatland, North Dakota location. Beck Communications is an equal opportunity employer. To view the job details, visit www.beck.coop. To apply, email your cover letter and resume to careers@bechtel.coop. Beck Communications, making connections that matter.
In southwestern and south central North Dakota, on any given day at any given moment, a Dakota Community Bank and Trust customer is logging in or signing on to do their online or mobile banking. We believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service in-house and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our customers anywhere, like here or here, all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community-first oriented banking here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
The experienced professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless, and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Win $1,000 from the Beck News Fast Cash Contest. On Thursday, February 11th, watch Beck News programming to be entered to win $1,000. Watch Dr. Duke at 4, Ladies of Another View at 4:30, Down the Road with Joel at 5:30, No Apologies with Becker at 9, and No Filter with Debbie at 10. To enter, contact us during any show on Thursday in one of the following methods. That's it. Visit beck.news for the full contest rules and showtimes. Beck News Fast Cash for $1,000.
Welcome back to No Apologies. Hey, there's Barry Goldwater on my tie.
On the break, I just told him, I'm like, Barry keeps looking at me.
Barry Goldwater. I was born on the day that he lost the presidential election in a landslide in 1964.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
I was born the day after Sonny Liston and Cassius Clay fought their famous battle in the boxing ring.
Huh.
My mother was in labor with me when she was watching the fight.
Interesting.
Yeah, you have a little bit, same year. Okay.
Okay.
So this is a really interesting topic because we have talked nullification before, but we haven't talked whole nullification. We talked gun nullification. Yep. So this is a bill that is very interesting, and I think I would wager a guess that there are states all across the United States who right now are mulling nulling. You're welcome.
But
I know.
Yes, that is true, though. They, because of how bold the Biden administration is with their executive orders, with their gun control, et cetera, states are looking at what do we do to try and protect ourselves against this federal government overreach, and nullification is one of those things. We've talked in the past about gun nullification, or what many are calling Second Amendment preservation acts or bills. We don't call them acts in North Dakota, but we had one on the floor yesterday. It wasn't my bill. It's Representative Urtelt's bill. I didn't sign on to the bill. It needed some changes, but the bill came before my committee, and I made the changes, and I think Urtelt put something together that's very, very good.
Fantastic.
I think that it probably needed some tweaks. And what we have here is a bill which, if it becomes law, there's a committee formed with 14 legislators. And that committee can look at any law, any federal regulation, or any executive order that they want. And they can review it and say, is this something that we feel is constitutional? Now, some people argue that, well, it's not for legislators to determine whether it's constitutional. And what they're doing is taking kind of a different view on the definition of constitutional. If you say, well, something is constitutional if the Supreme Court says it's constitutional, fine. I don't mean constitutional in that sense.
Okay.
The legislative committee of 14 would decide if a regulation, executive order, or law seemed to fit within the parameters of the enumerated responsibilities and rights for the federal government in the Constitution, right? They're not going to determine constitutionality.
Right.
If they felt like, you know what, there is something here that's not quite right. Let's just say, for instance, this well, it doesn't matter, any executive order.
Okay. Pick one.
They can say, this is concerning enough, we're going to bring it back to the legislative body as a whole, and the whole legislative body is going to decide. If the legislative body decides to nullify that regulation, that law, or that executive order, then we nullify it. Okay? We've talked more about nullification and what it means. It means different things. The kind of an older original meaning meant you just said, nope, that's not illegal. We do what we want because we're sovereign states. That's kind of out the window now because of the interpretation of the Supremacy Clause, which says that the federal government, if they make a law, then that reigns supreme over the states. Mm-hmm. This form of nullification is simply saying, fine, federal government, you do what you want. We aren't going to enforce it. We aren't going to put people in our jails because of it. We're not going to put our law enforcement in the position of trying to arrest people and enforce these actions when we feel that they aren't right for the people of North Dakota and further go against the intent of the Constitution.
So you're not necessarily nullifying the entire law or the executive order. You are just simply saying it will not be enforced in our state.
Right. We're not going to have our people do it. If you want to enforce it, you send your federal marshals, you send your ATF, you send your FBI. They'll enforce it. We're not telling our citizens that they can go ahead and do it, that it's legal. We're just going to not enforce it. So we have 1282 that does that. I've got, well, we're calling this a Rick's Rant from the Capitol. Now keep in mind, sometimes I get a little spicy here on set, and I keep myself tempered down on the floor of the House, so don't look for fireworks, but this is what it looked like yesterday. House Bill 1282 is a bill which forms a committee regarding the nullification of federal laws. The membership of the committee is comprised of the President Pro Tem of the Senate, as well as 6 members of his choice, not more than 4 from the same party. Additionally, the Speaker of the House, with the same 6 additional members, not more than 4 from the same party. This committee has at its disposal, and upon call from either of the presiding officers, the ability to review regulations, executive orders, and laws to ascertain whether they fall under the parameters of a bill which exceeds the authority of the Constitution of the United States, and whether to proceed to bring to the legislature the question on whether to nullify said executive order, bill, or law or regulation. Nullification here in the bill is described, it's defined as restricting a state agency or political subdivision of the state or an individual employed by a state agency or political subdivision of the state from enforcing a federal law, regulation, or executive order. So the idea of this is catching on amongst many of the states. There has been an ever-increasing propensity to rule, basically via fiat legislation by executive order, with not only the current president, but the previous 3 presidents. This is something that has been concerning to those that believe in states' rights, and I think there's a growing appreciation for the 10th Amendment. So please don't be confused. We are not saying, ignore the federal government, it's legal, do what you want. We are saying, federal government, we understand, you've said it's illegal, we accept that. We are not going to spend our resources and human capital to enforce that which we don't agree with, and we are now taking hold of the 10th Amendment. With regard to a couple of the previous speakers, the concerns with regard to the 14-member. First off, the two captains of the team. They are elected officials, and then they are elected again by the elected body at large. Secondly, it's not 14 members that make the decision on whether something is constitutional. They're not declaring something constitutional. Only the Supreme Court can do that as it stands. I don't disagree with my chairman in that respect. What they're determining is whether to take a bill or executive order or regulation to the legislature, the entire legislative body. And then the legislative body would determine, again, not whether something is constitutional, but whether we are going to enforce it in our state. There is a big difference there. The other thing is the oath. We all swore an oath to the Constitution. I wholeheartedly disagree with my chairman. I did not swear an oath to every regulation, to every executive order, and to every law. I swore an oath to the 4 pages of the Constitution, not the 67,000 pages of the Federal Register. I did not swear an oath to the Sabika Sheik law, or bill, if that becomes law. I doubt that the minority leader swore an oath to defend the idea of building a wall. The Constitution is sacrosanct. It's 4 pages. It's entirely different. I did not swear an oath to all of the other garbage that comes forth from the swamp in D.C.
Fantastic. Oh, that was so, you were right. You're a lot more fiery here than you are on the floor. You're really mellow there. That was, but you're very measured.
Well, that's kind of how you have to be.
Agreed.
I've gotten spicy a couple of times on the floor.
And have been rebuked for it?
No, not really, but you know, I've watched the video and it doesn't necessarily come across real great. Yeah, you just have to try not to get so
Well, that was well said,
agitated.
and I thought it was a great rant.
So the thing is, here, flip up the next graphic. This is the vote. It actually passed. It was not expected to pass.
Really?
No, it was not expected to pass.
So
you see here that it takes 48 votes to pass. We got 51.
Fantastic. You
Yes.
can look, if you look really closely, or maybe stop your TV later on the DVR since you're taping this, probably you can see if your legislators from your district voted yay or nay on it. I know what mine voted.
Yeah, I think that this is, you know, it was a close vote. You have a good idea with this on how people feel about the 10th Amendment and state sovereignty, and it's always good to know where your legislators stand.
Excellent.
So there you have it. I don't know that it's going to fare very well in the Senate.
Well, why would it not? Perhaps we're going to have to make
Yes.
sure that the senators know
You
about this bill.
should call
as
your
well.
senators
You
if you
should.
want this to pass,
You
because
should.
I would, unless you folks call the senators, if they get inundated with people contacting them, it is definitely destined to fail, but we'll see what happens.
Think about how great it would be to be able to have state sovereignty. I think
Yep.
that's a fantastic
For
thing.
now, let's savor the win.
Okay, all righty. When we
Okay.
come back, we're going to have another brain food for you. Fast cash.
Howdy, folks. It's a Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our hay-bussin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a cum roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell 'em about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Win $1,000 from the Beck News Fast Cash Contest. On Thursday, February 11th, watch Beck News programming to be entered to win $1,000. Watch Dr. Duke at 4, Ladies of Another View at 4:30, Down the Road with Joel at 5:30, No Apologies with Becker at 9, and No Filter with Debbie at 10. To enter, contact us during any show on Thursday in one of the following methods. That's it. Visit beck.news for the full contest rules and showtimes. Beck News Fast Cash for $1,000.
Welcome back to No Apologies on Beck. I was mouthing the words to Lori. Did I do Oasis yet? Did I do Oasis yet?
I don't think
Okay.
so.
This is your After Hours Oasis of Sanity.
Okay, yes, no, you have that. He was, and you know what? For some reason, I could not. I usually could read lips pretty well. I had no idea what he was saying,
Probably
so I
because
kind
I
of
was
made a face
exaggerated.
like what? All right, before we go any further, I want to make sure that we give everybody an opportunity to enter our Fast Cash contest. I know that we're talking about it a lot, but today is the only day that you can do it, and during this program is the only time you can do it besides with Debbie after us, and that's it. So you know, time is a waste in here. So if you could just make sure that you call and leave a message.
Time for Fast Cash.
Fast cash.
Yes,
Fast
it's
cash.
time.
So submit a message during this show to enter today. We really want to encourage everybody to do so because just think about how nice it would be to have $675. But thanks for ruining that for me now, because I
Yeah.
was thinking, oh yeah, $1,000.
That's because government sucks, Lori.
It's all true. Thanks for telling me that, Rick.
You are welcome.
Okay, so let's start with our brain food now. My very first word, and I do not know from where I got this word. Sometimes words just popped into your brain, and this is one of those cases. So harbinger is a word that popped into my brain, and yes, I have a weird brain. So harbinger can either be a noun or a verb. The definition of the noun is something that foreshadows a future event, something that gives an anticipatory sign of what is to come. For instance, robins and crocuses and some other things would be harbingers of spring. One that initiates a major change, a person or a thing that originates or helps open a new activity or a method or a technology, a pioneer, a harbinger of nanotechnology, for instance, something that foreshadows it. And the verb, it's a transitive verb to give warning or prediction of, to be a harbinger of the fall of Rome. An angel, a foregoer, a forerunner, a herald, an outrider, a precursor would be a harbinger. And some fun facts about the word harbinger. When medieval travelers needed lodging for the night, what they would do is they would go looking for a harbinger. As long ago as the 12th century, harbinger was used to mean one who helps provide lodging. Now we would say probably travel agent, but back in those times, probably not, or a host.
Right.
But anyway, that was a harbinger.
Okay, I have an off the cuff for you.
Okay.
Have we seen yet a harbinger for the demise of our republic, or is it yet to come?
It's yet to come.
Okay, good. Positivity.
We're good. Well, you can count on me for that.
Okay, excellent. My piece of brain trivia next is
Oh my.
prison hooch.
Oh heavens.
Yeah, this is a recipe that I found when I was in prison. And
You have not been in prison. Don't even start that. That's
okay,
a bad thing to start.
Do you remember Multiverse? I'm sure in some
Yes, I do
alternate
recall that
universe I've
episode.
been in prison. I'm sure I have.
I see. Okay, so
It's
in
only by luck that I
fake
haven't
prison.
in this universe. Okay, so
got it. Probably your mother's prayers.
it could be.
Okay.
Prison hooch, ladies and gentlemen. So we talked last night, I think it was last night, about top fermenting, bottom fermenting.
Correct.
I said I was a top type person. And
That is really an ishy picture.
yeah, well, you know, it's hard to keep things clean in prison. So, and you never know where you have to store that piece of paper so it
Okay,
doesn't get
thank you
lost.
for the visual on that one. Thank you. Can
I
stop
don't even
right
know
now.
what you're talking about. So prison hooch.
Okay.
Here's the scoop. Here's what you do, ladies and gentlemen. I think I'm going to try this. You take 6 to 10 oranges, peel them, put them in a bag.
Okay.
In that bag, you add 2 cans of fruit cocktail. The prisoner obviously doesn't know how to spell here. Very good.
Fruit cocktail. Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Including the juice. Add the juice of the 2 cans of fruit cocktail along with the fruit. Add in a heaping cup of sugar. Add in, I don't know, I suppose a 1/3 cup of ketchup. Maybe a little more if you like that sour. Add in, you need to add a piece or 2 of bread. I'd probably add in 2 so you get enough yeast going.
Okay.
And then you seal your Ziploc bag and then you pound it. Pound, 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 pound. Okay?
Which would explain why the prison thing is just aggression. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Don't pound too hard or you'll split the bag. And then you put it in a warm place. And now there's been suggestions that you can soak some towels and heat them up and then put them on a couple of times a day. I would just say find a nice warm place. And then a week later, you've got my next little graphic, some delicious prison hooch.
Thank you very much. That doesn't look like it's very tasty, but maybe we'll have to try to do that on the show. You know,
Those
we could just
those
make
tears are just tattooed. They're not.
They're not actual
No, they're
tears.
not real
Thank you for
tears.
explaining that
You're
to me. Okay, my next word. I can't even imagine what number 4 is going to be. Okay, so my next word is portend, which is a verb. And portend is spelled P-O-R-T-E-N-D, to give an omen or anticipatory sign of. So again, the word anticipatory, something in advance of something else. So indicate, to signify, foreshadow, foretell sounds a little bit like harbinger, but it means to predict or prophesy or forewarn. And this is an interesting word, adumbrate. I've never heard that word before, adumbrate or adumbrate.
I haven't either. I don't know that one.
Prognosticate would be to portend if you prognosticate
Sure.
something. You're pretty good at that prognostication stuff. And that is
They call me.
Nostradamus Becker.
Oh shoot! I was gonna try and come up with like Rixtadamus.
Nice try.
Thank you.
All right, so that is what portend means. And if you used it in a sentence, it would be the distant thunder portended a storm. Or if you're superstitious, a black cat portends trouble.
when I talk about liquor on brain food, it portends silliness.
Yes, that is all true, and you've got 30 seconds to do
30
your
seconds.
last
Next
break,
up,
so
let's go.
see what you
Graphic.
got. What do you got?
Moonshine kills.
Oh, my heavens.
Moonshine kills. So this is, as opposed to the fermentation that we do when we're in prison, distillation is how you make liquor.
Okay.
And what happens is you have to boil your mash and so forth, and then it comes up, and then it trickles down in cold, and then you have your moonshine. The first part of it can be heavy with methanol.
Oh.
So the methanol has a lower boiling point. So as you heat up the mash, the methanol starts to boil first, and then the ethanol starts. So what you do is you throw away the first part of what comes out, because methanol will make you blind.
Oh my.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, but I remember my parents had, I think they had bottles of methanol. I remember it, and it had the cross and bones, and they'd pour it into like a burner. What do you call those little burners?
Bunsen burner?
Well, no, but I mean for heating
like
food.
a hot plate, like a...
Sure, whatever. And you'd pour that in and light it on fire, and it would just burn, and we would have fondue with that.
I see what you're talking about.
But the bottle of methanol would say can cause blindness.
Wow.
I remember that distinctly.
Interesting.
But that could also happen when you're making moonshine. So make sure you throw off. It depends. If you're only making a gallon, throw off a shot glass is all. If you're making 5 gallons, then you should throw off probably a whole pint.
This is going to sound really weird, but I literally bought moonshine yesterday at a liquor store for my husband.
Let's hope it wasn't the first part of the distillate.
No, I'm hoping not. And it was orange flavored. My husband loves it. Don't tell him. Do not tell my husband he's getting that for Valentine's Day, that he's getting orange moonshine, because I saw orange moonshine. I'm like, that's super cool. Oh, so now I...
Okay, let's get the heck out of here. We got to
right.
come back for some executive orders because we've had too much fun. It's time to start being sad. Fast cash.
That's cash.
There's nothing more important than family. And at Prairie Rose Family Dentists, we get it. That's why we have more locations, more dentists, specialists, extended hours, pediatric clinics, and even emergency appointments, so you can always be seen. Book your appointment today at prairierosedentist.com. Prairie Rose Family Dentists. We are family.
Deciding how to promote your business can be hard. Visit the professionals at Dakota Promotions and Printing and let them help you through your struggle. Dakota Promotions provides promotional items and apparel, from corporate gifts to team shirts and everything in between. With quick turnaround times and friendly service, they are your best choice. And best yet, you're shopping local. Visit them online at dakotapromo.com or stop in their showroom at 320 West Main in Mandan. Dakota Promotions, delivering promotions just for you.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with 1 truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
The experienced professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless, and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck, or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Kohler Samurai and the innovative VRT Renegade, as well as the best-built, best-backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
We are back. So are you. Segment 5, last one for the night. Hang in there. If you haven't won your $1,000, and you haven't tried, you better try now. Because after this, we're not talking about it anymore.
No
this
more
is
best
it.
cash.
We're done. This is not happening tomorrow night. It's not happening next week. Win your $1,000 tonight and be happy, even after the government takes a lot of it.
Stop saying that. You're ruining it for me. Okay, all righty, all right. Biden's executive orders. Again, now what we've been doing is 1, 2, maybe 3 at a time,
But listen,
as soon as we can get through.
We are on the 21st. Executive
kidding,
orders,
we're
he
past-
started on the
Wow.
21st. He had a half day on the 20th, and we've covered, we're on number 19.
So he did 18 the first day.
At least, I don't even know if we
least.
covered all of them, but
Right.
all of them that we've thus far covered, we're done on the 20th.
So we're finally on day 2.
You and I were talking during the break about him signing, and one of the things I find interesting is how the presidents will sign, and they'll do like a letter, and then do
New pen.
a new pen. I'm
Correct.
like, if I was president, no flipping way.
Right.
I'm signing with one pen.
One pen.
I'm sticking the pen in my
Calling
pocket.
it good.
I'm giving it to my grandkids.
Right.
That's it.
Well, it is oftentimes, I think, tradition to give those pens from signatories to somebody who
Nah.
had something to do with the,
Nah. No. They can have a, I don't know,
give them
a used Kleenex.
a mint. Okay, all right, so we're talking about, this is care and treatments for COVID-19 on this executive order.
yes.
This would be number 19 of the bill. So it is the policy of my administration to improve the capacity of the nation's healthcare systems to address coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19, to accelerate the development of novel therapies to treat COVID-19, and to improve all Americans' access to quality and affordable health care.
Yep.
So that's kind of a mouthful. Part of me thinks to myself, he's going to try to accelerate the development. Didn't his predecessor totally do that?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
saying.
actually, Trump did a good job on
I
that,
mean,
but-
seriously, that was kind of already done. So is he going to try to take credit for that now? Is that what that's all about? I'm just curious.
I think what they are doing, and we're going to see this throughout this order and others, is they are taking the opportunity. Never let a crisis go to waste, as Rahm Emanuel said,
Yep.
and before him, Saul Alinsky. Never let a crisis go to waste. So the COVID-19 gives them opportunity to expand government and expand bureaucracy to levels that we would never have previously accepted.
Exactly.
And I think when you see the language that we just had up on the screen, that portends an expansion,
Well done.
an expansion of this government.
Exactly. Well, to facilitate the utilization of existing COVID-19 treatments, yes, that were done by the guy before you, the Secretary of HHS shall identify barriers to maximizing the effective and equitable use, there's that word again, equitable use of existing COVID-19 treatments, and shall, as appropriate and consistent with applicable law, provide support to state, local, tribal, and territorial authorities aimed at overcoming those barriers. So once again, we have to put the race card in there, we have to put the divide thing in there, and we have to do the equity for all races. It's so tiring. It's just exhausting.
Right. Some of the things in this executive order that are written, one is that they're going to develop a plan which supports research and supports studies or supports research that studies the emergency evidence concerning the long-term impact of COVID-19 on patient health. And of course,
Can I just put my hand up here?
Yes, do it.
By the time they get to these studies, the pandemic will be over already.
well, except the goal of the study is going to find out how they can exert more government control over the next things that come along.
Right, the next emergency.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes,
Great.
absolutely.
Good news, super cool.
They talk about this Secretary of Health and Human Services shall promptly issue recommendations on how states and healthcare providers can increase capacity. I mean, this is something that was already done when
Right.
COVID first hit.
Right.
One of the big areas is improving access to quality and affordable healthcare.
I noticed that was on the end of that.
That's on a lot. Now this is interesting because allegedly with Obamacare, which was brought through in the middle of the night with rules and maneuvers. And with Obamacare, there already should be complete access to quality and affordable health care.
Remember the website debacle? That should tell you all you need to know.
Well, yes.
About Obamacare.
When that was going on, I was using .gov as a verb.
Right.
Hey, did you just .gov that?
Did you just
screw
.gov
it up?
that? That
Right.
was fantastic. Oh, that was well done. Well, let's move on.
Okay,
Can we
fine.
go on to another one? All right, so
Okay.
this is number 20, data-driven response to COVID-19. Executive order on ensuring a data-driven response to COVID-19 and future high-consequence public health threats. And I'm hoping we have no more public health threats for a while. The heads of all executive departments and agencies shall facilitate the gathering, sharing, and publication of COVID-19 related data.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
The one thing that's said in here is that they are going to deter the spread of misinformation and disinformation. That angle, what they're talking about, that's a small part, but it's key. They are going to control. They're going to control information. They're going to control information. When instead of giving fair and balanced, if there's something that doesn't fit the narrative, any study that said that masks may not work as well as they want, nope, that's going away. Hydroxychloroquine going away. School children not actually transmitting the disease to other school children or teachers. You're not going to hear that. They will be the ministers of information, and what they determine to be misinformation shall not be heard.
Okay.
I would like to go a lot more on this executive order, but we are out of time.
And we will tell you that we are going to close out the week strong tomorrow with a gander at the mailbag. We'll talk about as well the 1994 gun bill. It'll be interesting. It'll be a great show. And fast cash. Don't forget.
Now or never, folks. See you tomorrow.